Okay, in this one we're going to look at another couple of questions here. Let's look at this. Number 5. As a rebuttal, okay, so we're going to try to refute or show that something is wrong. Switch colors, that's not showing on the screen there. As a rebuttal of Giselle's argument, Antoine's response is ineffective. In other words, there's a flaw there. Why? Well, first things first, let's figure out what is Giselle's argument and then see how Antoine is dealing with it. So first off, let's find the conclusion that Giselle makes, and let's see what it is. The government needs to ensure that, therefore, okay, here's our keyword, therefore the government should raise the sales tax on gasoline. So it's saying if we have government, we should increase tax on gas. All right, well, why? What's the reasoning behind this? The government needs to ensure that public consumes less petroleum. Okay, so claiming if we are a government, we should make sure that the petroleum use goes down. Now, they didn't say gas and petroleum, but they say gasoline is a major petroleum product, so we're going to just kind of broadly put it there. We want the gas consumption to go down. What's the other thing? When things cost more, so if things cost more, therefore people buy and use less of them. So it's saying if we increase the cost of something, that means the use of something would go down. Well, in this case, increasing a tax is increasing the cost, so I can kind of paraphrase her argument and say that if we increase the tax on something, then the use of that something, which presumably is gas, would go down. So what Giselle's basically stating is that, all right, if we want to get to here, governments should increase the tax on gas. Well, why? Well, we want to get here, and we know that increasing tax gets there, so the solution would be governments should just tax the gas. All right, well, what's Antoine's statement here? Antoine is attempting to rebut the argument, so presumably it means, well, government should not do that. In fact, he states it in the first sentence. Government should not raise the sales tax. So we've got government, if we are government, we should not increase the tax on gasoline. All right, well, why not? Such an increase would be unfair, interesting new term, to gasoline users. Well, why is this unfair? If taxes are to be increased, so we have an if statement, if we're supposed to increase taxes, let me put that down. If taxes go up, what? The increase should be applied in such a way that they spread the burden of providing the government with increased revenues among many people, not just. So if we're going to increase taxes, we have to spread among many people. All right, so that's, and presumably what he's getting at here is then we'd say, well, a tax on gas does not spread, so therefore we shouldn't do it. So we're claiming, all right, so we should any tax should be spread among many, gas does not spread. So, well, but okay, but let's just not overthink this too much, but I kind of went a little fully in detail here. Let's say, well, what's the basis of Giselle's argument? It's like saying, well, she's not talking anything about the fairness of a tax, right? Whether, that the money should be spread among many people. She's basically stating, well, we want people to use less gas. So this is not addressing that argument. So which of these would possibly work? Let's see here. Let's go down the line. A, I'm going to go reverse. E, he makes the implausible assumption that the burden can be more evenly distributed among the people through other means. Well, he never mentions other means, so that's out. Just right there. We're done. He mistakenly assumes that Giselle wants the sales tax increase only on gasoline. That's out as well. Nowhere does Giselle talk about just increasing taxes on gasoline. That's out. Let's see. His conclusion is based on an assertion regarding unfairness. Okay, well, yes, it kind of is. But, all right, what's the follow-up? And unfairness is a very subjective concept. Well, that's not the reason why his argument is ineffective. It's not the subjectivity of unfairness. He just makes this claim that, to be fair, we need to spread things evenly among people. So, in a way, it's not really a subjective claim that he's making. B, he fails to specify how many. Oh, there's that. We don't need that. So, by process of elimination, it is A. But let's look at this. He ignores the fact that Giselle does not base her argument for raising tax on the need for increased revenues. Yeah, he's bringing up this point about increasing revenues, but that's not what Giselle's after, right? She's just after, we need to stop using gas, according to her, and therefore here's how we should do it. And he's not addressing that at all. So, that would be the reason why that should be rebutted. Let me pause and clear the screen, and let's move on to the next question. All right, continuing on. Let's look at this one. Looking at the question stem again, a flaw in the reasoning, so we know we're looking for something wrong, is, basically what's the assumption that's incorrect, is that this argument does what? Well, what is the argument? Let's see. What's our conclusion? Conclusion is, let's see, if we zip over this a little bit, we have this word so. That's a conclusion word. So, given all this sort of information, here's what we take away. This bottle clearly has been mislabeled, right? So the bottle, if it's, given the bottle that we have, it's been mislabeled. Therefore, mislabeled. All right, let's see, what's our evidence for this? It says, this bottle is labeled vinegar. Oh, okay, so we can kind of narrow down what we mean by mislabeled. We can actually, here, let me rephrase that there. That means if the bottle's been mislabeled and it has been labeled vinegar, we can say the conclusion is the bottle is not vinegar. Okay, so we'll just do that. So we have, although the bottle is labeled vinegar, no fizzing occurred when some of the liquid in it was added to the powder in this box labeled baking soda. All right, so it looks like we've got, according to this, we have what's been actually, let me back up for a second. What's been labeled vinegar, so I'll put vinegar label plus baking soda label. We add these two things together. Baking soda, excuse me. Baking soda, what's been labeled baking soda, what we ended up with, no fizz. No fizz. Okay, piece of evidence number one. Piece of evidence number two. When an acidic liquid such as vinegar, so if we have an acid, or we say if we actually have vinegar, is added to baking soda, so if we do vinegar plus baking soda, what do we get? The resulting mixture fizzes, so we get fizz. So the conclusion is, therefore, the bottle, or, what was inside the liquid there, the bottle, is not vinegar. So, actually, let me rephrase that. What has been labeled vinegar label, is not vinegar. What's the flaw here? Let's not overthink this too much. Notice we have two things that are being labeled. Right? We have this is labeled and that's labeled, and the assumption is that, well, okay, when we mix those things together, the error has to lie with the thing labeled vinegar. Well, that may not necessarily be the case. Could be that the thing labeled baking soda isn't correctly labeled. Maybe it's just sand in there. I mean, who knows? Or cornstarch, or whatever. Right? So we cannot, the flaw here is that since we have two things that we're not sure what their identity is, we're matching up, we're making the assumption that, oh, it's got to be this one that's the problem, but it very well could be that one. So we're looking for something that, let me see, A, ignores the possibility that a bottle contained an acidic liquid other than, no, it's not, that's not the problem. The problem is we're assuming that one of them is mislabeled where it very easily could have been the other one. Fails to exclude an alternative, yep, there it is. There's an alternative explanation. It's not necessarily that the vinegar bottle was mislabeled, it could very well be the baking soda one that was wrong. Let me just quickly run through the rest of it, and then we'll stop. Depends on the imprecise term fizz. Oh, no. Well, I think it's pretty clear what that word means, but still. Does not take into account the fact that scientific is going to be definite. No, that's just weird. That's out. Assumes that the fact of a labeling error is proof of intention. No, what are we talking about? Intention to deceive. That's out. Okay, so it has to be that one. I'm going to pause here. I'm going to do some more a little bit later, but that'll do it for now.